All right, I am here with Matt Stevenson talking about his project Seaturtle Philosophy. Matt, how would you describe the genre of Seaturtle Philosophy?
It's very D.I.Y. It's very organic, is how I've heard it described by someone who has listened to the music. Kind of indie, kind of, yeah.
When I was listening to it, the first time I was listening to it, I forget which one, the first word that came to mind for me was like ethereal. Like it definitely put me like in a sense of like adventure, like wanting to like just kind of get out there. Like even when I was driving, I was like, this is great road trip music, this is great hiking music, just great adventure.
Yeah.
It really puts you like almost in the moment. Like you said, the DIY, you could really feel that too with like all the layers. So do you want to talk a little bit how you put that all together? Because we saw before you got a great pedal setup down there. So do you want to talk a little about how you do everything?
Yeah. I like to do a lot of things. I like to play guitar, I like to drum, I like to play keys, I like to sing a little bit. And so Seaturtle Philosophy is kind of like a project allowing me to do all of that my own way and putting it all together and not being stuck doing just drums or just the guitarist or etc.
And when did you first get the idea for this kind of project?
This project, probably back in 2014 is when I was thinking about it, and that's kind of where I started writing music for myself and kind of learning the ins and outs of that and kind of testing different things. But I was not very good at guitar or keys or singing or really anything. I was decent, but not good enough to do the project. So it's kind of been on the back burner since then. And as I improve in the various instruments and things, I decided now's a good time to get going.
And for those of you that don't know, Matt is you're a licensed music therapist, right?
Correct.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, Matt is a licensed music therapist. Mm-hmm. And for those of you that don't know, one of the requirements for graduating, getting just your bachelor's in that, you have to be very, very proficient in both guitar and piano, right? Mm-hmm. So that's just an assumption, but would you say that helped you like gain your skills?
Absolutely, yeah. Music therapists help a lot in learning guitar. So you have to be proficient in guitar, piano, singing, and percussion. So being able to do all that, it's been a huge help.
And you described it as DIY. What is the hardest part of this DIY style with creating all the layers yourself and recording each layer?
I think not being overly critical, because it is like I'm writing the music, I'm recording it, I'm editing it and putting it all together, not getting too critical on myself and like, this needs to be perfect, this needs to be perfect. Really allowing myself to be a little flexible and not too hard on myself, I think has been the toughest part.
I agree with that, and that seems like a very common theme amongst all musicians. But I feel like you probably were told this too back in the day. No one knows that you made a mistake while you're performing except for yourself.
Right. So
we hamper on all those little things that we think are mess ups, but really aren't.
Yeah.
What are some of the artists that inspire you?
First, my dad used to be in like a 60s, 70s rock cover band back when I was growing up, and that was one of the first influences that really got me into listening to music and wanting to do music. They would practice in our basement, and that was like my inspiration. So I would say their band was called the Dukes of Wellington. So that's been a huge inspiration to me just growing up. But then aside from that, I like listening to like Pink Floyd's a big inspiration. I like Red Hot Chili Peppers. I like this band called Porcupine Tree, and their frontman Steven Wilson, his side project, is a big inspiration to me.
Describe your songwriting process. What's that like?
Songwriting to me is not a thing you set out to do. I think it's a thing that it just happens. You could be eating lunch and an idea pops into your head, or you can be driving in your car and this idea pops into your head, so to me songwriting, it's difficult to deal with, because like sometimes I want to write a song but I can't, and I just need to wait for it to happen. But at the same time, I feel like the best songs, the best ideas come when it just happens, it just hits you. So to me, they just kind of come to me, and then once I have that idea, I can sit down, with my guitar or with some keyboards or just with some drums and kind of hash something out and let it go from there. It's an exploratory process.
That seems like a very common theme and something that I feel like is reassuring to a lot of artists starting out, especially when it comes to songwriting, because I feel like a lot of artists are like, oh, I need to write a song about this specific thing, and then they get so in their own heads that they can't think of any words besides the same 4 words over, or they can't get past anything. The song you just performed, Movin', that kind of seems like one of those songs you were talking about where like, because there's a lot going on in that song lyric-wise. Is that just... How'd you write that one? I'm very curious.
I like songs that tell stories. I like being taken on a journey when I listen to music.
That's exactly how I was feeling with your music. I feel, not to interrupt, but I feel like anyone listening could kind of like create their own journey while listening to it.
Yeah. So that's a common theme in things I write is a storyline to them. That one came, I think it was summer of 2016 and 2017 is when I wrote that. I was living in a dorm on UD's campus, working in a facilities job, just kind of doing the grind. And I don't know, one day I just woke up and like, every day is the same. Just wake up, eat breakfast, go to work, come home, eat dinner, go to bed. Like just kind of going through that routine. And I was thinking about it, I was like, a lot of people have this same thing, you know, you just wake up, just an average day. And I wanted to put that in a story, like what would a day be like if it was like everything goes wrong, but like you're just gonna keep pushing for it, you're just gonna keep powering through. And so that's kind of where that came from, is the idea that, you know, some days you wake up, it's the normal routine, doing about your life, but keep pushing forward.
And that's what I really liked about that song when I was listening. I'm just like, yep, this sounds like every other day, especially people that like suffer, that like people that like feel like everything's going wrong for them and that nothing can catch a break. Sometimes the best thing just to do, when I feel like your song captures that well, is just to remind yourself, hey, you're still moving, you're still going along, you're still breathing. Sometimes it really is just the little things, because like you're saying, we all get in that rut of just doing the same thing over and over, and it feels like it does suck sometimes, but
yeah.
And I love that song. That's actually, it's just so fun and energetic. So I know we just talked about your song Movin'. I know that's the only song you played for us because you got your project coming out soon. You got an album, EP, was it?
We're calling it a mixtape.
Mixtape, I like that. We gotta bring it old school back.
Exactly.
So how's the process been working on that?
It's been fun. I started doing it when COVID hit because I had so much time on my hands. So, you know, COVID is a blessing in disguise in that sense. It gave me a lot of time to just hang out in my basement and write music and record music and kind of get started on things. So it's been fun to, you know, explore those songs, and now they're finally we're almost completed with them, and I'm excited to, you know, put the songs out in the world.
And when do you plan to have all this out? Do you have a name for the mixtape yet?
It's called the Impetus Mixtape.
I like it, the Impetus Mixtape. And I'm sorry, when did you say you want to have this come out?
You know, whenever it's done. There's no deadlines. It's just kind of gonna go out when it goes out. I'm thinking winter of this year, 2021. So
I like that answer, because a lot of people hold themselves to deadlines, and that drives them crazy. We're gonna backtrack a bit here. Where did the name Seaturtle Philosophy come from?
Let me think about this one, and then you're gonna have to ask again. It comes from I think it was an English class I took senior year of high school. We had this project where we all had to come up with our own personal philosophies. And you know, some people would come in with like, oh, I live by the golden rule, or like some more religious philosophies. But I decided I was going to call mine Seaturtle Philosophy. I feel like living life like a sea turtle does is a good way to go about things. You know, they tend to be very family oriented. I'm also my idea of sea turtles is strictly from Finding Nemo, so that should be stated.
Oh, crush.
Yep. So like the sea turtles, they're very family oriented. They hang out together, but they're not too afraid to go out of the current. You know, do their own thing. They're down to be out and playful and doing stuff, but they also have a shell to hide in when they need to. And they're also super nice. I've never met a mean sea turtle, so that's kind of where the idea of Seaturtle Philosophy comes from, is going about life like that.
I love that. That is one of the most interesting stories I've heard in terms of a name origin. Speaking of Seaturtle Philosophy, your Instagram page I'm a huge fan of it because you ask these really interesting questions every day. Are those just for fun, or how do you use those? Do you like seeing people's answers to some of these? How did you making these questions every day come around?
It came from a desire to shed light on differing views. I feel like a lot of people go through life thinking like very black and white, like this is the way things are done, and if it's not done this way, you're wrong. So just by asking, a lot of times they are just silly questions like, do you prefer ketchup or mustard, or are you even a fan of ketchup or not? You know, and a lot of people have very strong views, but I like seeing the percentages on these things and shedding light like, oh, maybe not everyone likes ketchup. Like myself, I think deep dish is the best pizza, but then if I ask that,
you're wrong.
If I ask that question and I see like it's dead 50-50, I'm like, okay, so maybe it's not necessarily the best pizza. Sure, it is in my eyes, but there are plenty of people that think it's not. So the questions to me is just a way to put life into perspective, I guess, and just see that sometimes what I think the majority is, it is the majority, and then sometimes I think, oh, everybody does it this way, but only 5% of the people do it that way. So just to get a clearer look on life, I guess.
Are there any times you put a question out there or like a poll and you get a response, or like do any of these questions end up like going into your songwriting at all?
A lot of times people will DM me like their thoughts on the question, which is really cool. I really like that because then we can get a interesting conversation going about some random question that just come out of the blue. And some of those conversations have influenced the songwriting process, gathering ideas from that, the insightful discussion on differing views or whatever we're talking about at that time.
I like that. And it's a real easy icebreaker like discussion too. And like you were saying before, like you probably get messages with, for example, I'm sure if I had answered the pizza one, I would have messaged you saying you're completely wrong.
Yeah.
New York style is the best.
And I would have said you're wrong. Chicago.
It's okay. It's okay. I describe it as pizza casserole. We're all different.
That's fair. I can't argue with that.
They're both good in their own right.
Right.
Just like a lot of things people choose to do, which is what I think the basis of your questions is.
Yeah.
And obviously not to judge.
Yes.
All right, Matt. So you got the mixtape for Seaturtle Philosophy coming out later this winter, right? Mm-hmm. Where can people find you on social media if they want to learn more about Seaturtle Philosophy and get the link to your music when it comes out?
Well, my Instagram is Seaturtle_Philosophy. Pretty straightforward. And then I also have a YouTube channel, which is Seaturtle Philosophy, which has a couple cover songs out right now. But that's where the music will be when it comes out.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You guys make sure you follow Matt at Seaturtle_Philosophy and check out that YouTube page. Matt, thank you so much again for joining us and for performing for us today. Thank you so much.
Bump my head, then I head to the bathroom in the shower on how water's broken, man, freezing's fine. Time to find a clean cause I'm looking frantically, man, why didn't I do my laundry? I head to the kitchen cause I'm kinda hungry, but we got no eggs and I'm out of OJ. Today it's just not my day, but I know that everything is gonna be okay. I smile out and tell myself to look straight ahead, and you've got to keep moving. So I keep moving. Time to head to work now, where are my keys? I'm looking everywhere, God help me please. There behind the couch cushion, man back there 10 times I've been looking. driveway, Eli turns on, praying that I make it cause I know this trip ain't long. Now I'm running kinda late, but I'm hitting every red light. At this rate, I'll be getting there tonight. Today is just not my day, but I know that everything's gonna be okay. I smile and I tell myself, look straight ahead, and you've got to keep moving. So I keep moving. Walking to work just a little bit late. Boss is mad, man, this is great. They tell you hurry up, get my ass in the room. Man, what's the rush? I gotta be there so soon. Shoot, I forgot I gotta give a presentation. Guess I'll just swing it and I win the confrontation. Now I'm counting on the eyes, will the clock to hit 5? Taking so long, when will it arrive? Today is just not my day, but I know that everything's gonna be okay. With a smile, I tell myself, you look straight ahead, and you've got to keep moving. So I keep moving. Not my day, but I know that everything's gonna be okay. But I smile out and I tell myself, you look straight ahead, and you've got to keep moving. So I keep moving. Falling back at home, time to kick it and relax. I turn the TV, but I don't have any snacks. That's okay, I just like the stove for the dinner, but the gas is broken, guess take it as a winner. Ring ring high, like some chicken and rice. What do you mean you're closed? It's a Monday night. That's okay, I'll just go to bed hungry. Wicked tomorrow, gonna be another fun day. Today is just not my day, but I know that everything is gonna be okay. I put a smile on and I tell myself, you look straight ahead, and you've got to keep moving. So I keep moving. So I keep moving. So I keep moving.